Hello everyone, let's talk a little bit about concrete driveways today. First of all, the difference between a concrete driveway and asphalt driveway, why you need to go with concrete. Reason one, pretty much they're costing about the same these days. Used to be, asphalt used to cost half of concrete. Now the asphalt guys have bumped up their prices way too much to the point where it's almost costing the same. So it's no point, maintaining asphalt every year or every other 2 years, sealing them for a couple of $100s. It adds up quick. Now this video is to show what as a consumer we can expect in terms of how much you need to pay and what specs you have to ask when the concrete guys show up at your house giving estimates. Okay, number one, thickness. How far do you want to go? Normally concrete driveways between 4 inches. 4 inches to 4.5 inches is what the standard is. I would recommend going 5 inches so you can bring trucks like this into the driveway without worrying of that cracking, and that's a good measure. 5 inches thick, as you can see over there. I'm almost 5.5 inches thick on this driveway. And number two, what type of concrete? Yes, there are different types of concrete. It's measured in PSI. When they order in these big trucks, they measure by PSI. Normally contractors do 3000 PSI concrete. Some of them even do 2500. It's even illegal in some states to do 2500. I would recommend go 3500 or above. So if you can do 4000 PSI concrete, that's great. It's commercial grade. If you can do anything above 3500, it's going to last you forever. Okay, 3500 or 4500 PSI concrete is what you're looking for. The third thing I want to point out is slope. As you can see, everything slope it away from the house. That way water doesn't stagnate. The fourth point I want to make is to make sure that they add reinforcement. What is reinforcement? The rebars that are inside. So you basically make a grid system. In old school days, they only did rebar, but nowadays these concrete come with an option of adding reinforcement right into the concrete mix, which means you can add something called fiber reinforcement mesh, which is just a bunch of fiber within concrete. So within the concrete mix itself, they add a little bit of fiber in it. You don't even need rebars anymore for smaller pours, like smaller driveways. Alright, so those are the things you need to be aware of. The PSI of the concrete, are they using reinforcement rebars and fiber reinforcement concrete, as well as how much thickness. Now let's talk about price. Okay, this is where they get you. If you go with the super big company, they have these subcontractors who would sublease it to someone else, and there's too much added layers of middlemen that'll be costing at some point, and you're talking about anywhere from $8 to $12 a square feet is what the bigger companies charge, which quickly adds up. It's normal driveway about that big, which is 2 car side by side, 20 feet by 25 feet wide, 500 square feet. Big companies normally, they easily charge you between $5,000 to $6,000 for that. But smaller companies like the one I'm using here, the owner is standing right there. They're not taking a big of a margin on the profit because it's a partner owned and the owner is working right here. Those kind of companies can give you a much nicer price, anywhere between $6 to $8 per square feet. So you're talking about a normal driveway can cost anywhere from $3,000 to $4,000 for 5-inch pour, and that's very reasonable because you're using about 8 cubic yards for that size driveway, and 8 cubic yards can cost anywhere $1,200 just on that material. Then what you're excavating from this area, if you're removing asphalt, that's going to cost too. The couple of days of labor of removing that and building the farms, leveling it, and all that. Make sure those contraction joint lines are there to prevent any cracking. Once everything is nice and flat, the last step is to do some brooming to give some texture. So with the broom and score some lines across the driveway. Yeah, make sure whatever direction you want it to go. So it puts some texture and grip on the driveway surface. That's how we finish. Okay, after a few hours it looks really good. The textures come out nice, the cuts come out nice, slope is good, so forms need to be taken off, and then we'll have a driveway in a few days. Just to keep that in mind, all those 5 things I mentioned, doing proper height of the concrete, doing the proper mix, about 4,000 psi or 3,500 psi, then doing reinforcement, which is adding enough support in there, and then cutting. You'll see them go and cut spacers in between every 10 feet to prevent cracking, so the expansion and the contraction can be supported in the winter and summer. So they'll be cutting lines across. All that, be aware that needs to happen. And if they mark it up, it's all BS. All the the concrete guys are going to go hard on this video saying this is wrong, that's wrong. But from a consumer perspective, just be aware that the price is going to be about $6 to $8 per square feet. And then you can calculate yourself. All you're asking for them is 5-inch bore, 3,500 psi or above concrete mix, and put enough reinforcement. All right, hope that's helpful. Subscribe if you like the content, and I'll be making more videos as well.